Everyone was surprised to see him go to the 5th round, but no, he's
have people remember that. So that's kind of like how I go about things.
Lloyd Howell Jr. resigned his position after 2 years as leader of the NFL Players Association. He says, "It's clear my leadership has become a distraction."
What if I told you the Cleveland Browns are sitting on a quarterback controversy so intense it could blow the lid off their entire front office? This isn't just about competition. It's about pride, politics, and panic. Because deep in the heart of training camp, a 5th-round rookie is stealing headlines, hijacking attention, and making the people upstairs very uncomfortable. His name? Shedeur Sanders, the son of a Hall of Famer, a player molded for the spotlight. And according to NFL analyst Lewis Riddick, his rise is threatening to expose something ugly: fear within the Browns organization. Not fear of failure, but fear of being wrong. Because the better Shedeur plays, the worse the Browns' draft decisions start to look. Lewis Riddick didn't just drop a hot take, he dropped a bombshell. On national television, Riddick accused the Browns front office of being afraid of Shedeur Sanders. Not because he's uncoachable, not because he's making mistakes, but because he might be too good. So good that his success would put a spotlight on a brutal truth. Cleveland may have messed up their draft board. They took Dylan Gabriel, a solid prospect, in the 3rd round. But they waited until the 5th to take Shedeur. And now, the guy picked 2 rounds later is outshining the one they staked their reputation on. That's not just awkward, that's political. And Riddick believes the Browns are now actively trying to manage perception, not performance. Let's talk numbers, because the tape doesn't lie, and neither do the stats. During training camp, Shedeur Sanders ran with the 2nd team, but he looked like a starter. He completed 8 of 11 passes. That's a 73% completion rate, and threw 3 touchdowns in red zone situations. 3. Those are veteran numbers. That's poise under pressure. That's a young man making a statement. Meanwhile, Dylan Gabriel, the guy who's supposedly ahead of him on the depth chart, completed just 8 of 15 passes, 1 touchdown, with the first-team offense. Let that sink in. More reps, better protection, top weapons, and less production. That's not a fluke. That's a glimpse into what's really going on in Berea, Ohio. So the question becomes, why is Shedeur Sanders still running with the 2nd team? Why isn't he being given equal opportunity to earn the job outright? Because according to Riddick, this isn't about what's best for the team. It's about what's best for the guys in suits. The people upstairs who made the call on draft day. The ones who would rather protect their decision-making than promote the better player. It's a classic case of ego versus merit. The front office doesn't want a 5th rounder to embarrass a 3rd rounder, especially one they hyped up. So instead of embracing the competition, they suppress it. They hide behind depth charts, and they hope the media doesn't look too closely at what's really happening. Riddick called it psychological manipulation, a phrase that should never be associated with the quarterback position, let alone the NFL. But in this case, it fits. Because when performance takes a backseat to pride, the entire competitive process gets poisoned. And that's what's happening in Cleveland. Shedeur is playing better. He's sharper, he's more efficient, and he's winning reps. But he's still being treated like a long shot. Not because of what he's doing, but because of where he was drafted. That's not competition, that's politics. And for a team that struggled to find stability at quarterback for decades, this kind of manipulation could cost them more than just games. It could cost them their locker room. This isn't just speculation. The players feel it. The coaching staff feels it. And most importantly, Shedeur Sanders knows it. You can see it in how he carries himself. Calm, focused, deadly accurate. He's not just throwing passes, he's throwing messages. And every completion is a reminder. Talent doesn't care about draft slots. If the Browns were honest with themselves, they'd elevate him immediately. But instead, they're playing politics, delaying the inevitable in the name of process. And as Riddick said, it's a systemic failure, a corruption of meritocracy, a franchise that's afraid of admitting it might have found a star in the wrong round. But when the lights come on, that excuse won't fly. Not with fans, not with players, not with Sanders. Let's be real. This situation is bigger than just Shedeur versus Gabriel. This is a test of integrity, a battle between old-school bureaucracy and new-age merit. The Browns can either cling to their draft day pride, or they can do what every championship team eventually learns to do. Play the best man. Not the most expensive, not the most hyped, the best. But to do that, they have to admit Shedeur might be ahead of schedule. They'd have to admit they undervalued him. And in the NFL, that kind of humility is rare, especially in front offices where every decision is tied to job security. But guess what? Great franchises evolve. The Browns have a chance to do just that, or fall right back into dysfunction. Shedeur Sanders isn't asking for a handout. He's not complaining. He's not politicking. He's showing up, doing his job, and letting the football speak. And what it's saying is loud, is clear, is undeniable. He belongs. His accuracy is elite. His decision-making is mature. And his leadership, that's what's turning heads behind the scenes. Players follow authenticity, and Shedeur has it in spades. If the Browns continue to ignore it, they won't just lose games, they'll lose the locker room. Because when guys see favoritism, it breeds resentment. And when the best player isn't playing, it fractures trust. The Browns don't just have a quarterback decision to make. They have a culture decision to make. And the clock is ticking. So what now? Do the Browns double down on politics and keep Shedeur buried on the depth chart? Or do they open their eyes and make the bold move? Because here's the truth. Every day Shedeur Sanders keeps playing like this, it gets harder and harder to justify keeping him off the field. The film is there. The numbers are there. The leadership is there. All that's missing is the courage to admit the fifth rounder might be the real franchise quarterback. And that courage has to come from the top, from the same people who made the draft day decisions. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about one player. It's about whether or not Cleveland is finally ready to break its cycle of mediocrity. The Browns have been here before. Hype, hope, and heartbreak. But this time, they have a choice, a clear one. Play the guy who gives you the best chance to win, or play the guy who protects your ego. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just a good story. He's a threat, a rising star, a quarterback who wants the smoke and embraces the moment. The fans see it, the media sees it, and sooner or later, the league will see it too. So Cleveland, what's it going to be? Stick to the script or flip it entirely and ride with the kid who's proving everyone wrong? Because sometimes the best draft pick is the one you almost didn't make.